The 2025 NFL Draft is officially over, and the Carolina Panthers did a bang-up job, in my opinion. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we are going to break down the Panthers 2025 draft. But before we do that, Ryan is getting married in just a couple of weeks, so send him a wedding present by smashing that subscribe button, leaving a like and a comment. Let us know what you think of the Panthers draft. And Ryan, let's pull this up here.
Let's do it.
Panthers, I think I talked about this going into our final mock draft as well, and even talking a little bit too during some of our Panthers mock preview videos as well. Is they obviously need a front seven help, and with how deep this front seven class was, I say it's possible they don't go edge rusher here because there's some of the guys up top were sketchy. I think you go get Ted McMillan, you put him in this Dave Canales offense, and then you still get Nick Scourton, which some people said he could be a first rounder. Princely Umanmielen, which some
Me.
people were also saying fringe first round, if not maybe early second round, and you got him in the third round. I think that's phenomenal value on those first three picks. Ended up going then Trevor Etienne, running back out of Georgia, Lathan Ransom as well, Ohio State safety, Cam Jackson, Florida defensive tackle, Mitchell Evans, Notre Dame tight end, and then honestly a pick I actually really like, Jimmy Horn Jr. as well,
Yeah.
Colorado receiver. Is there anybody else? If you want to scroll down just a little bit more,
Nope. That's it.
that's it. Perfect. So
That's the last one.
I would say all around a very good draft. A lot of the top name players just in general, but I think they really got great value with a lot of their early picks.
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, they didn't have their normal second round pick. They had the 57th pick, I think, coming into the
Yeah, which
draft.
was the Rams.
Yeah, which was the Rams. And so I like that they dipped in that wide receiver group early. Because I felt like after that, like mid second round, there was going to be a bit of a drop off. You had some like third round guys like a Jalen Royals or a Savion Williams, where that's a small school guy and kind of a gadget player. But I like that they dipped early and then they allowed this deep edge class to kind of fall to them. And that's where I think they got really good value with Nick Scourton and Princely Umanmielen. I think you go and look at what they did in free agency too. They bolstered up that defensive interior. Now you go and you get two really explosive edge rushers to kind of be your outside linebackers in that room. And I think that's a really good addition. The only thing that I would have liked to have maybe seen them do a little bit more was invest in that secondary. I believe the Panthers were the team that only had like 8 secondary players on their roster.
Going into the draft, they only had 8 secondary guys on the roster. And so now that they have 9, 10 actually too, according to RLATs as of the recording of this video.
Maybe they got a UDFA or something.
Yeah. Mike Reed is the guy.
Okay.
In here.
So I would have loved to have seen them maybe invest a little bit more in that. But with that being said, maybe the value wasn't there. Some of those corners that we thought would go early day 3, like Noah Williams, went to the Chiefs in the middle of the third. So I think that's going to be one thing that maybe that they look back on. But with that being said, I think that they could definitely maybe make an in-season trade if it's something that they feel would really put them over the top and help them be competitive with the rest of the division. But really not a whole lot to dislike about this draft. I thought they got really good value and they took the right players at the right time.
Yeah, no. It's interesting too then when you just go look at the Panthers in the outset, and at the beginning of last year, Bryce Young and everybody's talking about how poorly Bryce Young was playing. He even got benched, and we knew eventually they would make the transition to bringing him back. And when he came back, he was a significant amount better as well. The run game really started to pick up with Chuba Hubbard. It's going to be very interesting now in this running back room because you have Chuba Hubbard, who's the clear number one guy. They did sign Rico Dowdle in free agency. Not saying he's going to contend with them. He's definitely just going to be a good number 2. But they did draft Jonathan Brooks last year, but he tore his ACL again late into the season. It's very possible he might miss 2025. Now you have Trevor Etienne coming in, who I will say, admittedly, I think of the running backs, I thought that maybe that was a little high compared to some of the other running backs that are on the board, in my opinion. But once again, though, too, the spread, I think, when you're looking at those day 3 running backs, not too big over guys. I would have maybe gone a different route overall, like Devin Neal out of Kansas, or even Dylan Sampson, who was still available also. But that's just me, as I said.
But the other one too, sorry, not to cut you off. I think you look at Trevor Etienne, I think it is mainly going to be a passing down back. He's going to be a good receiver out of the backfield. But you look at guys like LaQuint Allen, Jacoby Krosky Merritt that went much later on day 3. Felt that might have been a spot where maybe they could have taken a running back later and then gotten similar value and taken a corner earlier. With that being said, if you like Trevor Etienne, especially you have a need at running back in that or depth in that room, I think that's not necessarily a bad pick.
Well, and maybe they are thinking long game here as well too, because Chuba Hubbard, he did re-sign with them, and he's great situation, like great story coming out. He was a 4th round pick out of 2021 for the Carolina Panthers, and he
Yeah.
now has their extended contract as well. So, and now they do have Jonathan Brooks, probably expecting him not to play this year or have very little involvement overall. So, but if he can come back healthy for 2026, and then if they move on from Rico Dowdle as well, I'd have to go look at his contract. But maybe then they're also preparing for like another younger, like two-headed running back tandem overall, or maybe they just liked him. They thought it was good value. That's going to be some of the areas we're going to have to wait and see. But in general, though, I like the Ransom pick. I thought they addressed good value overall in day 3, especially then to combine that with the big hitters they got in round 1. In day 1 and day 2. I really think that it was one of the better draft classes
Yeah.
overall. I honestly, I'd give this an A. Like, if I'm grading it, I would give this an A. I really like the value of Ted McMillan. I think what he's going to bring to Dave Canales' offense. You go and look. I know everybody. He got Xavier Legette last year, so now you have a
Yeah.
really young receiving room. And I think he's only going to keep developing. I think Ted McMillan is a good compliment overall, as you can put him in the slot, even to kind of a maybe big power slot, and he can go across the middle a little bit more. While he gets that more outside guy. In general, Adam Thielen's still there, but then you got Jimmy Horn in the wings, who I think would be a good speedster guy
He was
as
really good
well.
at the Shrine Bowl.
Yeah,
Very good, like natural separator, and he's good with the ball in his hands too. So good developmental traits there for a 7th round pick.
exactly. And then you go and get guys like Nick Scourton and Princely Umanmielen. Uh, it's the front 7 can't get any worse than what it was in the second half of last year. So just getting some young guys like this, I don't really know where they could improve. I mean, it could improve. Like, I could be picky on the running back, like I said, but I don't
Yeah.
know really what other routes they would have gone. To be completely honest.
Yeah, the only thing I think that they could have done is maybe taken a couple more guys in the one or two guys in the secondary. But yeah, I'm going to give this draft an A. I'll say A minus, but for me, a C is an average draft. And I think they did a really good job here getting value. If you follow this channel at all, Nick Scourton was one of my favorite edge rushers in this draft class. He has one of the nastiest spin moves I think I've ever scouted. And with that, he was much heavier at Texas A&M than he was at Purdue in 2023 versus 2024. And he has already cut down to 257 pounds from the 280 that he was at Purdue. So he's going to be much more twitched up, much more ready to play in that outside linebacker role, I think, coming into the NFL. And hopefully he can still keep some of that power and run defense capabilities that he learned at A&M. So I was really pleased with this Panthers draft as a whole.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Same here.
yeah, well, as a Falcons fan, probably not, but that means it's a good draft for the Panthers.
Well,
So,
as a respect to good decisions, as a guy who respects
yeah,
good decisions, it's smart thinking as well. And they clearly, obviously, watch the Tracy take, because I suggested they do exactly what they did. I also suggested maybe going corner and going Jahdae Barron at number 8. And so, but Ted McMillan is also a phenomenal pick as well. So they clearly watch the
yeah,
channel. So I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
I helped them out.
Yeah. Well, before we get any more nonsensical, let's go ahead. Let's wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on what you thought of the Panthers draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently? None of that. We'll see you guys next time.